Okay, we are here, Michelle. Now, we've got a special broadcast today, you know.
Ooh, you would use the word broadcast.
Broadcast and special guests. Ilana Glazer and her brother, Eliot Glazer. You know them, of course, both from Broad City.
Hello.
We're going to talk about Broad City a little later and my appearance on Broad City, but...
You killed it! You mean bitch?
My fucking
It was
Lord.
a lot of fun. Had
Lots
a lot
of
of
gas.
fun.
And Alana
While
talked,
watching
I
it.
know we're not talking about it now, but
Yeah.
Alana talked about dirty charades on one of
That's
them.
right.
Yes.
That's right.
Colbert,
Abby and I
which one
did
was
on
it?
It was
Kimmel.
Kimmel, yes.
Everyone was like, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. But
freaked.
we'll talk about that later. But what we want to talk about now is the state of the world. You know, a lot of things have been happening a lot. And without getting too political or anything, I want to talk about the evolution of humankind on this planet, where we're heading, what you guys think we can do to accelerate the advancement of humans, or what we can do, the four of us together, put our minds together. This is a meeting of the minds. You've heard of meeting
Love
in the
it.
ladies' room?
Yes.
Think of us as climax.
Okay.
Okay.
Round table.
You know,
Love it.
and this will be broadcast tomorrow, by the way.
Great.
You know, obviously, I don't want to get too in specific about some of the tragedies that have happened, but it seems like we're on the breaking point. Something is happening on this planet.
The globe is screaming.
It's screaming, what do we do? What is it that we do? Now, obviously, things get the darkest before the storm breaks.
right.
Calm before the storm and then the light at the end.
Yeah, I just have a feeling.
I made that up.
Yeah, you did make it.
Or
You should,
like that.
you should set that to music, Michelle.
Yeah.
It just feels like we've got to do something.
Totally.
We've got to do something. Any thoughts on that? What do you think? Without getting into specifics, because there's some heartbreaking things have happened, as we all know. And this is not the place to come to ruminate on that. We know it's horrible. People usually come to this show for some relief. And that's what the goal of this discussion
And
is.
guidance and laughter. And at this point, something has to be done, because all we're doing is talking about it and pray for this city and pray for that city.
Pray.
But
Oh
what
my
can
God.
we do and prayers included, and if you believe in what you believe in, but we have to take action.
Yeah, and Alana, do you have a spiritual practice?
I actually do consider my Ashtanga yoga practice to be spiritual,
Yes.
because it's like the only time I actually totally pray during it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've recently started like trying to pray I pray in the beginning, but then I've recently started praying the whole time, and it really is like, it's incredible, and it's really empowering and positive, and
Because we can guide the energy, the
That's
earth
right.
force. You are Earth. You are
right.
You are Earth.
Right.
We can collectively sort of
Shift.
the consciousness and the energy force field around this planet.
And like, you know, I also identify as Jewish, but and I like doing like getting together about it, you know, around the holidays and stuff. I haven't like
cultural Jewish practices,
but I haven't really been to like
Which
synagogue.
are lovely.
in a
They're
while.
lovely.
They're
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I feel like what we have to do is continue to talk and represent our ideas, continue to search for and be our best selves, and to give money to people who need it and to post about it.
Mhm.
And maybe that's a very 2017 like millennial answer. You know, I also think protests and representing politicians, we want it, blah, blah, blah. But really as like private citizens, I think talking to the people around us, pushing our conversation to the boundary, whether you agree exactly with everything somebody says or not, just being open to, you know, there's such like hatefulness around having different ideas that I think it's really important to
Get rid of the
talk
stigma.
about
Yeah.
those different ideas and be cool about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have like a big fancy answer. I just think I wish you could just teach empathy. I wish you could just teach people or push on. I don't know how you do it,
Which I think you can. I mean, it's like, you know, teaching about
how do you teach
how the
them-
country was truly built, or, you know, I think like talking about different genocides, talking about slavery, talking about different the Jewish
But
Holocaust,
does
different
that
Holocausts.
stuff, I don't know if that stuff.
I think
changes a mind.
I think kids respond to it.
Kids do.
Kids do.
And I think right.
But how do you teach empathy to those who are older, who are still here,
Right.
and who propagate politics, and
Yeah.
they change the shape of an election, they change they populate the ideas of violence and racism and hatred of just the most simple things, just a color.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you I don't know how you change that. And
I don't know if there. I don't know personally if the word change is the right word, because I don't know. You can change a few.
Right.
Because I've had online arguments with people, usually about a trans discussion or a gay discussion. And by the end of the discussion, 8 times out of 10, they'll have gone, oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
But those 2 people left in that 10 are going to refuse no matter
exactly.
what.
They're going to refuse you completely.
And no matter what you do, nothing's going to change them
Nothing,
because
right.
they grew up with that in their mind. But if we could try to educate, I think the changing comes through education. And education is because it's ignorance, and ignorance means not having enough information.
And education includes just talking to people, not just like people go, well, you know, it needs to be in the education system. And it's like, well, it's not going to be, you know, like
but
to
the
talk.
problem with that education, and this is the roadblock that I keep finding myself in, is that when you try to talk to people, like you just said, they shut it down, not just because they don't want to hear it, but because they think it's patronizing.
Correct.
They think it's patronizing. And
That's patronizing to do what?
To them.
It's patronizing for Obama or Hillary or, you know, like someone who tries to speak, you know, with the mass in mind and tries to come at it from a macro sense. They don't want to, they want it to be, you know, they want to hear something, you know, acute and simple and that's it. And then so when you try to have that conversation with them, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to be patronized to by because they feel like it's a lecture. So I don't know how you change the language for it not to feel like you're talking down to somebody. I don't know how, the only way I know how to do it, and this is such a minor thing, but if I get like in a, you know, in some sort of discussion with somebody on Twitter who's like,
which is where it usually is.
Where it usually is, I try to not be argumentative, and more so I try to be empathetic to somebody and say, I understand that you would feel that way, but, or I can understand why you would think that. Here's my take. And I just try to say in my opinion all the time instead of saying I believe.
Right. Well, you know, this is what's interesting. I think we are at a crossroads, and I think this crossroads has to do with human consciousness and really dissecting and deconstructing the human psyche. Because where we are right now is we need to blow the lid and shed light on the evil that we all harbor. It's
in everyone.
It's in everyone. This is the thing. There's only one of us here. Let's just break it down. There's one of us here. We're not separate from one another. We are one thing working as
one organism.
One organism. So when we start there, we need to understand the components of this organism as if we're studying a scientific entity, right? So this negativity, this polarization, this idea, this misconception that we're separate from one another, we have to start there and just say, okay, can we agree that there's only one of us here? Then it becomes, then why do you hate yourself?
Correct.
Why do you want to, point out what's wrong with someone else? And then the other part of this is we're talking about old ideas like people at a certain age who want to polarize. You think, what are the components to keep misconceptions in place? What are the components that keep ideas that are untrue in place? That one person is better than another, or that one person, that women are
inferior. Yeah.
That will cause you to vote against your own interests.
Exactly.
As a human being.
What is that?
How about the women that fall back to the men and just do things because their husband.
But
I just got rid of another friend because of the whole 45 situation. And she wasn't, and I was saying, I love you, but I'm trying to tell you why my beliefs are so completely opposite to yours now. And instead she shut me down and said, oh, well, good luck, Miss Liberal in her circle.
Wow.
And I was like, you're missing even the point.
But Rue, it's exactly what you said is self-hatred. And it's like, that's why that it's like kind of indirect, but why that us all living our best lives, as Oprah would say, is important, because it's it's like your friend is probably angry at you, jealous of your situation, probably thinks you're patronizing, whatever. And, to just be able to continue giving that person kindness, I do think penetrates after a while, and being at peace with yourself.
Right.
As
I'm at
by
peace
example.
with it. But when you try, and I don't want to make this about me, but this is exactly what's going on in the world. When you try and they're just closed off to hearing it because they're stuck, like we was just saying, in this way of thinking that doesn't even make sense because it doesn't behoove her.
And it always contradicts itself anyway. Because like love is very clear, and wanting everybody to be as healthy as possible is really you know? So that
But it's not dirt. It's not, because people...
To us it is.
To us it is,
Yeah.
but then you have people who are... I mean, if it's going to go back to like something like voting, it's like they're voting with... If someone is voting with their wallet...
Correct.
And not their heart...
Correct.
I would love to understand that, but I can't. I can't understand you saying, I'm worried more about my taxes than about literally making sure that women have access to health care.
Well, see, now you're talking about the difference between love and fear, really, because the voting with your wallet means that you have a fear that you're going to lose the money, and that's what because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's fear.
Yeah,
Right.
that's so true.
But your friend, this is what we've been dealing with these past couple of years. Really, is that
This just happened last week.
I'm sure,
Sucks.
but the thing is,
Long-time friend.
your friend is basing this on the surface on policy, but the truth is, it has nothing to do with policy. She has there's an ulterior motive that nobody's talking about. That is, she's invested in a certain concept or an idea that she's not upfront with. She may be saying it's about 45, but nothing about 45. It's not about policy at all.
No, I said it was about 45. She sent me a best friends meme. I haven't heard from her since last November because I unfriended her on Facebook. She didn't even notice, which says a lot right there.
Yeah.
Anything she had texted me, I ignored. And this time, my other friend said, you should just tell her. Just tell her because she deserves that. You guys were close at one point. I said, okay, fine. Now, we fought when the election was happening. Downright fought. Because this shit that was coming out of her mouth was so vile that I was like, hold on a minute. Nobody's saying Hillary's perfect. I know we weren't going to get political, but we're going to get political. But I'm saying this is the way you got to see what's happening. So she throws at me last week when I said, I just don't understand you. I know you to be loving and beautiful, and you have 2 children, and I don't understand how
using my kids against me.
But
good one.
Well, it gets even worse, and it gets even. So I said to her, it's got nothing to do with. She tried to make it Republican. I grew up in a Republican household.
Yeah,
but Michelle, get us down. Like, what is it? What is she really?
So I got to the point and said 3 times, it's got nothing to do with you being a Republican. It's got all to do with how can your beliefs line up with somebody? I'm fighting for a community every day of my life that's getting everything stripped from them. I don't understand it. She texts back, Liz, what's wrong with wanting to save money on taxes and have be able to keep a right to bear arms? I went, are you fucking kidding me? And she said, you're telling me if my son's Republican, you wouldn't vote for him? I said, if the fucking beliefs lined up, I'd vote for him.
Sure, if he was a good...
And she goes, well, I'll tell my daughter that she can't go to your house because she's not democratic enough. We thought you were going to be too famous, but she's not democratic enough. And I went, first of all, you're using your children in the middle of this. I'm so confused.
Everything she's saying has nothing to
Nothing.
nothing to do with what the issue
I know.
is. So the way we move forward is, what is the real issue?
Trying to get to it. This is exactly what Eliot's talking about. Me, I pushed it, Rue. I pushed it. I was kind. I was generous. I kept saying, I love you. I don't understand why this is happening. Why are you not seeing my point of view? Tell me what. And it was only about her and how I'm Democratic and she's Republican. She couldn't get beyond that. And then she ended it, well, good luck, Miss Liberal.
Having said that, so you guys have heard the story.
Couldn't get through there.
What is it? Because, for years we've heard the thing that the difference between Republicans and Democrats is that Republicans want to save money, cut taxes so they can save money. And, if you become, if you get money, you automatically become a Republican because you
Right.
want
Wanna save
to,
money.
and we know of lots of secret Republicans who we love
Of course.
because they became very, very rich
Mhm.
and they don't want to friggin' take care of everybody with the taxes.
And you know who's saving the money?
Who?
The billionaires. Because my in-laws that voted for him they had hope. Even friends that I know had hope. It wasn't for him. It was because they wanted the taxes. They wanted cheaper insurance. And guess what? They ain't gonna get
No,
it.
they're
And you
not
know what
gonna
I
get
think
it.
also is that, we're from like such a super white suburb and gross.
Long
sorry.
Island. It's where in Long Island?
Smithtown.
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 Out east. It sounds like a made up town.
Out east.
And I think that white people are having a really hard time with confronting the privilege that they've had systematically.
Yeah.
They want to keep that and they want to stay blind. They want to stay asleep. They do not want to be woke to the privilege that they've. Nobody is going to take it away from you for acknowledging it.
Right.
They can't because
Right.
the system is too deep.
Yep.
And I think people want to hold on to that segregation.
Mm-hmm.
And they just do not want to confront the truth of their, whatever that means, money, taxes. I'm like, good one. That the word is
To give
privilege.
it titles for, yes,
Right.
correct.
But to think that this is a reaction, if this behavior is a reaction to having 8 years of a black president, I was, I guess, too naive to think that it would manifest itself, that it would.
But I don't think it's just Obama or like a
No,
black
it's not.
president.
It's
But
not-
I
it's
think
not.
it was
It's
their
not just that.
their
but I-
entire lives of I got a car when I was 16 and whatever that the different versions of that is, and wanting to just always have that thing and not think about not having
I didn't
really
think it was
earned
bubbling so close to the surface.
Same.
Right.
That's what
Like
I
it went
right.
off just like bam.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
felt
Hey,
like
we're
out
going
of
to take a
nowhere.
break, but we're going to talk about this some more because we're really talking about is the globalization of the world we live in and how really the manifestation of us realizing that we are all in this together. People are trying to turn the clock on that, like try to stop it,
Right.
But ultimately, we have to remember that this, when a butterfly turns into a butterfly, it's from a cocoon to a butterfly. It's a violent, it's a violent
It is.
action,
You're right, you're
and
right.
we're in the middle of
Right.
this violent action. I do believe that we will one day become a butterfly.
I love that.
So we're going to take a break. We'll
I
be
need
right back.
that.
We're going to talk more about this.
You, me, and Mariah.
Ooh, child, this is Casper Mattress. You know what? It's funny because when we first started talking about Casper Mattresses, I've heard about it first here on this podcast, right? Now you hear about it from everybody.
It's everywhere.
Everybody loves the Casper Mattresses.
Yep.
And they are just knocking it out all over the world.
But there's
right
a
now.
reason for it, Rue. It's because it's a good product.
good product.
You can pitch something, and if it sucks, it's not going to stick.
That's right.
But Casper has a reason it's sticking. It's amazing. Casper, if you don't know, is the online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price. I used to pay out the wazoo for good mattresses. I am telling you, that is not the case with Casper. It is so amazing. It's this hybrid of whatever it's a hybrid of premium latex,
Yeah.
memory foam. It's just unbelievable. When you lay on it, it's like sleeping on a heavenly, beautiful, magical cloud.
Yeah, girl, because I know you've worn out some mattresses,
Girl,
haven't you?
still be wearing it out.
But you know what's interesting too is that the real sign of success is that when other companies try
Knock it
to
off?
knock it off.
Yep.
I've seen some other companies trying to do that.
Same.
But honey, you got to go to the original because it ain't what they do is not what Casper does.
there's always a reason why the original stays the
That's
tried
right.
and true.
That's right.
Always.
It is a great product. Y'all better go get you a Casper mattress.
You can get $50 toward any mattress purchase by visiting Casper.com/Rue and using that offer code RU. So what you waiting for? Go to Casper.com/Rue and get started today.
Now, we're having a discussion here with Ilana Glazer and Eliot Glazer. You know them from laughing with them and talking with them. But, Michelle and I wanted to have a certain open table.
Round table.
Roundtable
Rectangle
discussion
Yeah.
about
Rounded edges.
this world, which seems like it's just cracking open. And before the break, I talked about it feels so violent. It feels like Mother Earth is saying, enough already. I don't know where it seems like every day there's some tragedy
There is.
that
It
happens.
seems like it is. It's not natural disasters. It's homemade.
And I always ask, people who are older than me, did this time ever? And I ask our parents this all the time. Did it feel like this during Vietnam? Did it feel like this during Nixon? Did it feel like did it feel like this during the 60s or during disco? Like, did it feel this crazy? Did it feel like this during AIDS? Like, because it feels insane.
What do they say?
My parents say no. It never. No.
A friend of mine asked that of Gloria Steinem recently, and Gloria Steinem said it was never this bad.
Right.
It was never this
Damn.
bad. But I think that people, it's bubbling. It's been bubbling under for many years, but it's reaching the boiling point because the globalization of the world we live in, with communication and worldwide discussions.
Right.
They can't avoid it.
It is like a consciousness that is turned on too much.
Yes.
Like it's mirrors on mirrors on mirrors. It's mirror hallways.
Yes.
Just constant. We are past our peak consciousness.
Yes.
We're too conscious of every little thing.
But to a fault.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if peak human, which I believe is like nomadic tribe times, we're so fucking past that.
Right.
And we're just looking at ourselves too much. We're stuck in like a hall of mirrors, I think. And I don't think that people are going to put the phones down. I think it's about reflecting good shit until that's all you see, basically. I don't know.
Does it have to? Are we headed to a place where everything has to break down and then we rebuild it? Because it looks like the Earth is going to clear out a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I mean, if these wars happen, if we keep on this path, a lot of
Hundreds of
devastation
thousands,
will happen, and then we'd have to rebuild. It is resetting the game where we're headed.
What does that look like?
Right.
It looks like
I don't know. I'm
it looks like
curious.
a nuclear bomb. It
Yeah.
looks like a catastrophic
Like a plague.
hurricanes, plagues, mass shootings.
Yeah.
What is going on with that phone over there, producer? Are you going through some type of a psychological
Logical.
change in your life?
This isn't me.
Okay, all right.
Like something that comes from the
We're
world.
talking about world issues over here, and you
And
are
you're
over there
talking-
pranking people.
Going
I
through
mean-
a psychological change over there. Damn. Hold it together, bitch.
Well, one of the places like that people like us have always found sanctuary is in the irreverent, in laughter, and in
Idiocy.
idiocy.
Yeah.
But how much of that can we
I'm like,
say?
are we
I
laughing
was-
ourselves to the grave? Truly.
What a
I'm
way
like-
to go. What a way to go.
Yeah.
You know who I think has
I choose it.
actually taught empathy through irreverence and humor without making a big deal of it? I think Howard Stern has done this.
Yeah.
Howard Stern, I'm a big fan.
Same.
And for a long time I was like, my dad used to listen when we were kids, and I'd be like, Dad, he's gross. He's gross.
He was gross.
He was.
He
He
still
was.
is.
Yeah.
Yes. However, he has evolved quite a bit. And when I listen to him, the way he talks about trans people, about gay people, he is not like stuffing a message down anybody's throat. He's literally just going like, let them do what they want. Why do you
He's
give
very
a shit?
He's very about it that
and
I
he's
like.
very
But
dur.
that's
and
the
that,
point.
And that's the
Right.
point.
Help me
And in
understand
doing
what
that-
dur is,
It's
please.
like, duh.
A
Duh.
Duh.
I
He's
knew
so
that. I just
nonchalant.
wanted people who
Yeah.
are
This
listening.
is how
to
dur.
dur.
Dur was around before duh.
Yo,
Yeah.
Way before. Dur's an 80s term.
I think
Uh-huh.
it's like
He's
rude
just- yeah,
at
he's
its
just-
root, but I think it's reappropriated to a cleaner, more inclusive version.
I love it.
Whenever I think of Howard Stern, I think about about 2000 maybe. I was listening one morning in the car, and he had this woman on who was a porn star who every time she gave a man head, it would sound like a duck quack.
Oh, they still play
Yeah.
it.
They still play it?
Yeah.
What was her name?
Oh, I don't know her name, but they still play
Was it Aurora something?
They still played the sound effect.
Same drop.
Ew.
The same
What
one.
does it sound like?
No, it was more like a duck, like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
It sounds more like Eliot did. It's not
Fuck.
wrong. That's what it sounds like.
Ew.
So funny.
But every time
All
I
the
think,
same characters are on there. The ones that haven't died.
yeah,
I'm so surprised that nobody has done a humongous project or some sort of like museum. I'm astonished.
Elliot wants a Nobel Peace Prize for Howard Stern.
Look,
Deserves it.
that's a good
what,
Deserves
idea.
it.
what other
Not bad.
format do you know? I don't know a format that has given people the same inside jokes over the course of like 30, 40 years that they challenge you to know because they're not going to explain it to you.
Right,
Fred
right.
will just drop these drops into
Fred's
this,
a genius, by
yeah,
the way.
But
I mean,
The
a
Simpsons
genius.
is like that. You know, The
Right.
Simpsons,
Oh, yeah.
it has
Right.
many different levels of consciousness. And if it goes over your head, you know, so what?
so what?
So what? But
Exactly.
there are people who get it. So how has the Howard Stern Show been dealing with all of these tragedies in the world? How have they approached this thing?
I don't. I mean, again, I think. It's,
Are you listening every day?
Yeah, I listen every day.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's
And also, like, he interviewed Trump 100,000 times.
They were
Yes.
friends.
They are friends.
saying gnarly shit. Like, where's he at?
You know, I was like, oh my God, please just come out and like be real about this stuff. Because, you know, Howard will say, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm independent. But I mean, he's a Jewish father of three,
Yeah.
you know, in New York. He leans pretty liberal.
And he's
He
also
does.
a millionaire.
He's a millionaire, but
Yeah.
but he's
Gazillion times
he's like
over.
level-headed. And
Yeah.
when he talks about this stuff, he's like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
Yeah.
what, like,
He also
why is-
changes people, like dudes who call in and they're like, I don't
That's what
get it.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I'm saying through this message
He's
of
transformative.
Durr,
Yeah.
of being like, yeah, he'll be like, why the
Right.
fuck why the fuck do you give a shit about what two men do, two women, two trans? What do you care? And he says that he's like, the fuck do you care?
Because
And-
most people hold on to the Bible.
yes, and he
No other reason.
well,
Because
there is
really,
another reason.
You having sex with a man is not going to affect anybody else.
unless they have, like you said, a fear
Tendencies.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
because
fear.
what is that?
because
What
it
is
excites them.
What is
Right.
it about a
Tendencies.
man who would want to have their say in what a woman does with her body? What? And when you break it down psychologically, not the political blah 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 blah, but what
Ownership,
is
right?
That really? What is?
Well,
Is
that's
it jealousy?
I think it's fear. It's jealousy and fear of a woman's power and wanting to contain, you know, like an animal.
Yeah.
If there's a horse in the woods, I'm like, yikes, that is a powerful horse that's going to trample me.
Yeah.
But if I hold it hostage for its entire life, I can control it and be in control
Wait,
of it.
what? But what do you think the man is jealous of in a woman?
Of how powerful a woman is
Uh-huh.
that she can have a baby, that her orgasm is
Really
levels
intense.
and levels and levels, that she can get shit with her tits, that
Right.
she can.
And he might even be conscious of
No.
why he's envious
Right.
of that.
Hell no.
But it's a deeper
crazy.
thing. And let me ask you this, okay? The famous people who have a lot of power. Let's just say it, Oprah. Let's say Oprah.
Okay.
She hasn't really said anything
Right.
against Trump. And the reason in the 20th century, the reason was that, you know, you stay out of politics because Oprah's got
You're
shit to
gonna run.
sell.
Right.
You're
And
gonna
you
run.
don't want to alienate the people who you want to buy your shit, right?
Or vote for you in 2020.
Or who, you know,
That's-
she's got
yeah.
Weight Watchers, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You can't
Right.
say that because you don't want to alienate all the
True.
people. Same with
You're
Taylor
right.
Swift. She hasn't said anything. But are those
Right.
people complicit in this craziness that 45 is doing because they haven't spoken out? Should they be held responsible because they haven't said anything? Because this is a different time. It's not like the 20th century where you'd stay out of politics because you got shit to sell.
Right.
Right.
This is do or die.
Right.
But-
See, it's funny also that Oprah versus Taylor Swift. I'm like, well, Oprah's probably got a long con plan, and then Taylor Swift, I'm like, she should say something in my head, and it's I'm not sure. I don't think Taylor Swift has a long con plan. I think she has shit to sell, but I think
don't-
Oprah's the same.
Yeah, my
think
thing
Oprah's
is
the
like
same.
I actually think that the reaction to them saying something is that the people who they'd speak, you know, if Oprah or Taylor Swift was like, what is going on? The world is on fire, then I think people who disagree with them are so ready and so apt to say,
attack.
don't you tell me what to do. Hollywood, don't you tell me what to do. Award shows, don't tell me what to do. Celebrities, I think it actually,
They say
I
that anyway.
think it infuriates people.
Right. And I have to say, Oprah being a black woman, being maybe, how old is she about?
She's
60
64.
something.
Yeah.
Like about 60. I'm like, she's gone through enough shit that she's already been called the shit that they would call her. Taylor Swift, there is a contextual difference to me. But
Well, Oprah has depth. No disrespect. to
Yeah.
Oprah. There's a
right. But you know how Oprah's like on 60 Minutes now?
Yeah.
I just watched this like 15-minute panel my friend Glenna sent me. Oprah's mediating people who voted for Trump, people who didn't vote for Trump. The people who are voting for Trump are so angry and unreasonable. you can tell that she's not like totally to them. She gives everybody equal speaking
she's
time,
empathic.
but she doesn't seem to feel for them. She seems to just be strategically, brilliantly navigating the conversation equally.
As
But
a moderator should do.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
but I'm just it is enigmatic.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point in the game, you know, you read the New York Times, you read the LA Times. The LA Times is actually, it goes after Trump more than the New York Times. New York Times is still under the sort of playing
Yes.
like, we're fair and balanced,
Yes.
and we want to give the best.
Because the New York Times, are they right wing?
No.
Well,
New York
no.
Times?
They're
I'm
super
confusing it with the Post.
Post.
The Post is right.
Right,
York
right,
Post
yeah.
is
right.
But,
Right.
but, you know, Murdoch owns the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
But, you know, it's just, we're at this place where if you're not on the front line saying, this is friggin' crazy,
Then you are complicit.
Then you are complicit.
Do you
I
think
agree.
she should say something?
I think everybody should
Yeah.
say something. This is not normal. This is
Right.
not like it was ever in the past.
That's what
This has
always
nothing
asking.
to do with
Right, that's what you asked.
This has
All
nothing
the
to do with
time.
Republican or
The
Democratic.
literal
true.
voice of God has been shouting at us for the past 10 months, shouting at us, and we're not hearing it.
Right.
So figuratively, a voice from Oprah
Right.
would be really helpful. And I
Right,
agree
and,
with you.
And fucking Taylor Swift. Like,
know?
I'm trying to recontextualize Oprah, and it's like, but she's actually had more experience to see that this is not normal. It's true. It's
Yeah.
really true.
My boyfriend and I went to go see Maxine Waters speak at the California African American Museum.
Uh-huh.
I think it was back in February.
Yeah, I
or March.
remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that.
And it was so important because it was a group of all different types of people in the audience. Obviously, we were all like, what the fuck is going on? But she has the audacity and she has the
Right. Bravery.
agency and bravery to go on stage and yell. She kept saying, this is not normal. And she kept saying, do not forget that this is not normal.
Wow.
Because
I love
every
that.
day, even with
It's true.
And we're-
even with the New York Times, even with the LA Times, even with all this being said, they still have to filter it through this journalistic
Right, some format.
speech.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say the world's on fire.
Right.
And Maxine says, you have to remember the world's on fire every day, and this is not normal.
This
You need
is
more
how-
of people like her.
And I'm using this just as an analogy, not literally, take it as you want, but this is how Hitler got into power.
Right.
Everybody's sitting back and going, well, what can we do?
Right.
World's on fire, but oh well, we'll just go inside our little cocoon in our home.
Yeah.
We can't let that
I think we
happen.
have to use the system to win the system and change things over our entire lifetimes.
Yeah.
But for me, I every day I'm sort of astonished that 45 can truly get away with behavior, with action that is somehow a snowball of the most reprehensible in human behavior, and he gets away with it in a way that no person of color, no
Right.
woman,
But he's
nobody
doing
else
us a
ever.
favor. He's doing us a favor of giving us a timestamp of what a crusty, hateful old white man can get away with at this point.
Correct.
So he's giving us a history timestamp, and we have to spend. You know, people have died already for this,
Yes.
for
Many
civil rights.
died, yes.
People have already died. People have been killed in the streets. Black people have been killed building
White
this
people
country.
too.
Yeah.
White people
But
too.
for the Republican, I'm just going to say this. I keep saying to my husband, when is he going to get when is he going to get
Yeah,
impeached?
yeah.
And it's just not happening.
I don't
My
think
husband
so.
thinks they're building up. He's convinced they are building up the only cachet, and not only this motherfucker going to get impeached, he's going to go to jail for a very long time.
My
This
friend
is what my
who's
husband.
who writes about politics.
He feels the
agrees
same
with
way.
that.
Thinks
Right,
that.
so my husband's convinced about that. But the thing is, the Republican Party in Congress, in Senate, is doing
Nothing.
Nothing.
They are letting it.
Nothing.
all-
They're
it's
cha-ching,
more-
cha-ching,
That's what I mean.
cha-ching.
It's more important for them to keep the majority than it
and
is
to keep their
get
image
rid of it.
of white masculinity. It is more important to them than actual
Well, what's the term?
lives of
Party
people.
over privilege, I
Yeah,
think is the
right.
term.
You know
Yeah.
what?
And you can't believe it. You
I
just
hate
can't
to say
believe it.
this, but I actually think that I feel that he's not going to get impeached, that he's going to get a second term, and that they're pruning Ivanka.
for what?
Pruning.
president.
Oh,
Oh,
my
girl, fuck
goodness.
right
Hey,
off. No
on that,
way.
we're going to take a quick break.
All
but we're
the
gonna
way.
we're
Here's
going
a
to talk
bag of dicks.
We're
Go.
going to talk more about this. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You know, Michelle, I'm not afraid or ashamed to say that I have seen a therapist for years and years and years, and it has benefited me so much. Actually, I think about my therapist all the time when I'm making decisions, or and in fact, it's helped me so much that when it's even gotten to the point where I don't actually even need to see a therapist as much as I used to.
Right.
Because the thought process, it's a way to guide and to discern my thoughts in a way that's helpful in my everyday life.
But that's the goal of a therapist. The therapist is you're in a journey together, like a return to love. You're
Yeah.
here for a period of time. You do the work that you're supposed to do. Look, we could go never ending.
Sure.
But a good therapist will say, you don't need to see me anymore. You
Right.
have the tools, the coping mechanisms. You have everything you need. Now apply them.
It's like getting your own GPS system
Yeah.
in order for you to navigate your life. And that's what's so great about Talkspace. You know, a lot of people don't have time to go through a therapist or the money to go to a therapist. Talkspace is the solution.
Yeah, so this is how it works, you guys. And there's a lot of people in smaller towns don't know where to go for help, or
Yeah.
you know, clinics aren't available, whatever the situation is. You go to Talkspace.com/Rue, or you can download their app. You'll then speak with a Talkspace therapist representative. Now that's where you're going to share who you are, your goals for therapy, what you want to get out of it, all that stuff. Then you're going to pick a plan and be assigned a therapist that best fits your need. Somebody they go, oh, this therapist works with eating disorder, whatever the situation is, they're going to put you with who you need. And with Talkspace, you don't have to have a professional you go see in their office once a week, but someone right at your fingertips to be there for you consistently when you need it, someone you can always talk to.
Oh, it's so important. I mean, really getting it out of your head is the most important part of this, because you don't need to bear the shame of certain ideas. You
No.
can talk it over with someone, and that other person will let you know you're not alone.
Oh, honey.
And that you're not really out of your mind. We all have these thoughts.
And we all think we're out of our mind.
We all think we're out of minds. Talkspace is one of the most valuable tools you could have at your disposal.
Yes, for $30 off your first month, go to Talkspace.com/Rue, or you can download the Talkspace app on the Apple or the Android App Store using the coupon code RU. And just remember, you guys, just like Rue and I said, with Talkspace, you're never alone. Go check it out today. Talkspace.com/Rue.
We are back. We're talking with Ilana Glazer, Eliot Glazer, Michelle Visage. We're having a little round table discussion of things that really need to be said. You know, so much is going on in the world, from the tragedies, from you know, the climate change, to what's happening in Washington, to what's happening with the gun control and this. And we're trying to figure out what it is that needs to be done. What's not being said? What are the components that keep an ideology in place that doesn't work? It never worked. It's a lie. And that you know what? We've gotten the president that we're all
We've
part
earned
of it.
45.
We've earned it.
Yeah.
We have
We've
earned 45.
this.
And you're like, you know, we're just like sort of, I'm finding the thing. We have to dedicate our lives to whatever it is that we love, being the best versions of ourselves, and then also paying our dues politically. And we have to spend the rest of our lives using the system, voting the right people into place,
We learned our lesson the hard way.
and speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You just asked the question, Rue. And I think in my heart of hearts, the answer to that question, you said, what keeps us? It's fear. Because doing radio for so long, you think the number one thing you'd hear from people that would, you know, do
Call
focus
in,
groups and
yeah.
whatever, is people don't like change. They think they want it. They don't want it.
Right.
They ain't ready for it. You wake
Right.
up one morning and your favorite morning personality is gone. What do? They turn off the dial.
Right.
And they go somewhere that's familiar. So it's the
Right.
same thing with our mentality. There's a truth to that. So the kids that were raised, however they were raised, if they have racist parents or, you know, homophobic parents, whatever the situation is, the kids might not be afraid, but trying to educate their parents to come with them on the journey, like
Right.
you when you left,
Right.
is something that they're not able to do.
Well, this is also you saying familiarity. That's why we have to do it for the rest of our lives, so that eventually we're familiar to people.
Yes,
but
that's
didn't
it.
we do that in the 60s and 70s with the women's movement, the civil rights, the gay rights movement?
They've done their
What
part,
happened?
but it takes so fucking long. Everything takes so fucking long.
Got lots
And you're
more
talking
movements.
about prayer and putting your energy into the earth, and it just takes so fucking long. You two have done your part, being the people that you are. You have entered the zeitgeist, and now you're here so that we have you. But we have to go for the rest of our fucking lives.
Well, yeah,
Aren't
I
we
mean,
tired though?
Exhausted.
I'm
Done.
exhausted.
Done.
You know?
Good night. I'm gonna
I
take
don't know.
a Xanax and go to bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No,
was
totally
gonna say,
done.
like,
Totally.
through
But-
entertainment, you know, like I look at Broad
Damn.
City, I look at Drag Race, I look at Howard Stern. What you've done is created, like, especially with Broad City, but you've created a structure, and The Simpsons too.
Mhm.
You've created a structure. You have fans that come to that structure for entertainment, whether they know it or not. The fact that you've created these rules in place, you know, Broad City is like a literal universe. You've created this universe where you can't, like, on the show this season, his name is bleeped out all
Right.
season long.
Great.
That's the world they've created.
Right.
So people who just, you know, you don't know what their politics are per se, but they go into watching the show for laughter and leave potentially subconsciously
Right.
having their minds changed.
That's the hope.
Somebody watches
Will and Grace just did the same thing.
Will and
with
Grace
the
does
first
it.
episode, it was, you knew they were going to get political just
Right.
because of the nature of the show and Deborah Messing, but they went right for it. Half
Immediately.
the show, if not 3/4
Wow.
of it,
No way.
was political.
Yeah. But this is the interesting thing. You know, for years on sex hookup sites, people have been given the green light to say whatever because
Right.
it's in the context of sexual fantasy, right? So you can say no
fat,
fags,
no
femmes,
femmes,
no
no
femmes.
Asians.
Right. And this coming from gay people who have fought for years and years and years
Makes
and
no
years and
sense.
things. But so there is this component of the human psyche that is evil and has that voice and is given. So what do you do with
Okay,
those
that
two minds?
you know what that is that we have removed shame by isolating ourselves into places. And like when people antisocial behavior originally meant like stealing rather than not going out on Saturday night because it is anti the society. And I do think that we should be exposing we should be honest about. We need like a marketplace for shame so that people are ashamed.
Yeah,
But what if people are shameless? Like at 45 is shameless. You know, the papers try to say he said this and he said that. Oh my God, that's disgusting. Well, that doesn't
I
work
think
on someone who is shameless.
Shame
Right.
his followers who support him, and you have to say, you know that this, you have to know this stands for white supremacy. I don't know.
I think they know that. I think they
Right.
know, and I think they use it as a badge of honor. And I think that, you know,
I think
even
you're right.
I think it's
similar.
better than when they don't claim it. It's better at least to know that you're fucking racist.
You know, when you talk about like this insane internal homophobia that gay guys exhibit that truly blows my mind.
Self-loathing.
It's like, but it sits on my, it's a topic of conversation among my small group of friends and I that never goes away. Every single day we are astonished by the level of hatred that gay guys can
and it's been fetishized.
That's been fetishized, and that also, but above all else, the fact that gay guys continue to propagate this behavior after AIDS, after a fucking genocide.
Yes.
I don't get it, but I will say that my takeaway is that and it's my guess, I'm not sure, but my takeaway from it is that the reason that gay guys can try to get away or not think anything of saying no Asians, no black, saying these disgusting things is because it's just from toxic masculinity and it's just from men being dumb. Men are boys and boys are dumb. Girls are smart and boys are dumb. And even
But it still doesn't make it okay.
it doesn't make it okay at all.
Right.
And I think that's the problem is that big dumb boys turn into big men, but gay guys are still men and there's still toxic masculinity. And that masculinity then somehow manages to make its way into being mean to your own brethren.
That is why I'm equating it to what's happening politically in the world.
Exactly.
You know, the percentage of white women who voted for 45, it's similar to
Yes.
this thing of like,
Can you
how
imagine?
Self-hatred.
How do you justify in yourself this self-loathing, this amount of, and what keeps that in place? Is it because systematically you have fetishized being, I'm a woman and I like for a man to open a door for me and I like this and that? It's the same as this hyper masculine
yes.
fetish
Right.
thing
Yes.
of, I'm going to act like this. When, by the way, when you really get to know these guys, they are people, like the masculine, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. It's the complete opposite
Right.
of
Nelly
what-
bottoms.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite. And you think, when do we as the human race shed light on this phenomenon? Because I think this phenomenon that we're talking about is the root of the problem. We say we say one thing in public, but we're something completely
Right.
different in private.
Right.
When do we
That shit is
blow the
fucked.
lid on these dual narratives,
Yes.
these conflicting narratives, which is tearing us apart?
And at this point, it only comes out when like a straight politician fucks a gay dude, and it becomes a shame thing
Right.
about
Right.
like exposing rather than this. You know, gay male culture and gay male sex is like still too underground to actually have that like matter to anybody. I really think it's like saturating the market, saturating the airwaves, saturating the political platform with our side over a long period of time.
So this, I don't mean this to be a plug, and it sounds like a plug, but it's not.
Plug, why not
the
plug?
show that
Plug,
I'm writing with
plug.
Ilana, I wanted to take the same trajectory as Broad City in that it's, I play the main character, and he's sort of an atypical gay guy.
And the show is called
Inside Voice. And so the idea, obviously the idea is that it's a funny comedy, it'll be on Comedy Central, and I've been describing it as a gay Curb Your Enthusiasm. But that in and of itself, I hope, like Broad City does with feminism, would present these things that should be talked about, because
I love that.
it's lame. I mean, it should be talked about in a broad setting where straight people are like, huh?
right.
Why
Straight
would
people are like
because they
shocked
don't know
at
whenever
no fats, no femmes, no Asians.
It
Yeah,
makes
when I
no
tell that to
sense.
people, they don't understand it because
Can I-
it doesn't
can I ask
make
you
You've
sense.
been
something,
fighting
Eliot?
against that for 100 years.
Can I ask
Exactly.
Why
you
are
something?
you reinstating it?
Against
This, like Rue's saying, like, what can you do? Like, would you ever on Scruff? Would you ever write someone and be like, this is so fucked up, but not angrily, not violently, but actually being like,
Absolutely.
this is exemplary of like toxic masculinity.
Well,
You're-
I have, and my friends have, where we'll send each other whatever it is, a screen grab of somebody, and you cannot believe that they're saying something so appalling, and they take this level of entitlement that I truly believe is just pure, and it always is a white guy. It's always a white guy
Well,
with a pure level of toxic masculinity who is just
Do you ever reach out to them in a way that's not gonna dark
Anger them.
Right.
spiral, but
Yeah.
actually being like, this is so, I thought you were so
I
cute.
say,
but
why would you? I just say, like, why would you put that out into
well, this
a
is
world?
the thing. This is how we started this conversation. Is that because there is only one of us here, and that we all have this dark, horrible, really evil component to our psyche. When that situation presents itself, that white guy is not. You are not that white guy's teacher. He is your teacher.
Yeah.
There's only one of us
Right.
here.
So true.
So the thing to do is to look inside
Right.
yourself at every moment as you look out at the world to say, where is it that I do that? Where, and that's how the change
Yes.
happens. It happens with each of us on our own. It's because, we cannot shame, you can't shame 45, who's the perfect example of why he's the perfect poster child for that component, that evil component that lives
Right.
in all of us. So you can't shame him. What you do is you counterbalance it within your own consciousness with the other, with remembering who you are. Because we were talking about earlier about how do you teach people? You don't have to teach people. You have to remind
Yes,
people.
exactly.
We have temporary amnesia. We forget who we really are, and who we really are is we are the extension of the power that created the whole universe, having humanity, living humanity. So in that regard, it's all good. You can
Right.
act as terrible as you want. You can act as fantastic as you want. But if you act terrible, we're all going to die.
Right.
We're going to hurt a lot of people. But we could elevate. When I was a kid, my sisters, who were 7 years older than me, they were twins. They said to me, I was probably 5 years old. They said, "Rue, the people in charge now are making it better for the next generation of people who come along." And they said this to me. They said, in 20 years, every person on this planet will have at least 25 pairs of shoes.
And you love that.
I swear to God, 'cause that's what they told me. 25 pairs of shoes.
my
And I
God.
thought, oh my God, that's brilliant. And that's where my democratic mind
Right.
started.
Yeah.
They put that
Wow.
inside. They also told me that Cher never wore dresses, which was a lie.
Big lie.
A big lie. But that's where I thought, oh, that's who we are as humans on this
Yes,
planet.
yeah.
We're making it better for the people, and then
Right.
so on. But the Republican doctrine really is about We want to keep our money. We are not our brother's keeper. Well, if you are not your brother's keeper, then you better believe that your brother's kid is probably going to rob you in the parking lot very soon. We are in this together, people.
Well, the irony of that, I'm not my brother's keeper, but I am of someone of family values, of conservative.
Right.
It's the highest level of hypocrisy.
Yes,
and it just sits there.
Fighting
It
for
just
women's
sits there.
rights. We want to be taken care of, and wearing T-shirts. You can grab my pussy.
Yeah, no, it's a massive massive schizophrenia.
Yeah.
It's massive worldwide schizophrenia. We're going to take a break, but we're going to continue this discussion with Ilana Glazer and Eliot Glazer and Michelle Visage. We'll be right back after this. Ooh, child, you know Casper Mattress is a premium online retailer of gorgeous, fabulous mattresses for a fraction of the price that you would pay in a department store or some of these mattress stores.
Oh, my God.
Girl, Casper is just doing blockbuster business.
And there's a reason.
There's a reason for that. It's a great product. People love it. Everywhere I go, people talk about our podcast and talk about our commercials and how enthusiastic we are about it. It's the truth.
It's the truth. And the reason we're excited and enthusiastic is because we actually love the products we talk about. And we're lucky enough to say no to a lot of people that want to advertise.
Absolutely.
Because we don't believe in that product. We love Casper Mattress. It's an amazing, amazing mattress. And you guys know, if you've ever gone to buy a mattress, it's not unlike going to buy a freaking car.
Isn't that right?
They pressure you. You go through the whole rigmarole. You're laying on these mattresses, and you're like, at the end of the day, like, oh, that one's $7,000.
Oh, what?
I can't drive it to work.
Are you crazy?
I don't know karate, but I know crazy. Are you insane?
It really is insane. And I love the Casper storyline because they've cut out the middleman.
Yes.
They have passed the savings on to you in a way that is 21st century. And we are all about future forward, baby.
Yes.
We ain't going back.
No.
We are going forward. And Casper Mattresses is future forward.
Amen. They are a new hybrid mattress that combines premium latex foam with memory foam. So y'all, I've been sleeping on one for a while now, but Rue's getting his delivered. He hasn't gotten it yet.
Yes.
And I got mine last week, I think, the new Casper Wave.
That's what it's all about.
It's the Casper Wave. Now, the original is amazing.
Yeah.
I am not letting it go. So
Okay.
don't call me and be like, are you getting rid of your... No, because right now I have my Wave on top of my old one. Bitch, try me.
Wait. Oh.
Come... What's good? What's good, Casper?
What's good?
Come on. Come at me because I'm ready. Try me. I got them on top of each other. My daughter, I need a ladder to get on my bed. I need a steps. I need a ramp. And it ain't because I just turned 49.
All right.
It's unbelievable.
No, I hear you, girl, because it's a great mattress. I think everyone should experience it. You spend so much time in bed. Everybody does. You've got to make it count and make it work for you.
Yes. So to get $50 toward any mattress purchase right now, check out casper.com/Ru and use that offer code RU. Terms and conditions may apply, but that's casper.com/Ru. Get started today for the best sleep of your life. That and a joint.
And a 10-inch cock.
Woo-hoo! On your waves.
Uh-huh.
You're going to love it.
Oh, my God. It's just so exhausting, solving the world's problems here.
Well, we're going to do it all tonight.
Over hot water.
that's
Do you
right.
actually have tea in that hot water?
I have tea. I mixed a mint with a ginger.
And you're just drinking hot water.
Straight up, bitch.
Okay.
You don't put lemon or
Yes.
anything?
I like lemon and honey, but I just didn't.
Just
water.
keeping it real.
Yes.
Okay. The struggle is what? Real.
Thank you.
Yes.
So in this segment, should we offer
Sug-
some suggestions,
some
solutions, solace for young kids who are listening instead of
Yeah,
us going, okay,
I love
the
it.
world's
Well,
gonna end.
rather than pointing a finger, I've touched on this, is that keep in mind that these people are your teacher. You are not their teacher. They are. After 9/11, which was so horrible, I remember thinking to myself, what can I do? What can I do? And I remember coming to the conclusion that, Ru, stop doing terrorist acts, whether that terrorist act is
Right.
on myself,
Right.
on other people in traffic, like going, oh my God, that belt with those shoes.
Right.
Right.
What any type of terrorist
For
act,
real. Yep.
that is where you start. That's how this whole revolution starts. The revolution will indeed be televised, but it's also a revolution on the inside.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, it will be televised if you have a TV show.
If you have a
Charles.
TV show, it will definitely be televised.
Sorry, if you
But
end
it's-
every show,
And
by,
we all have television shows.
That's
How
right.
about that?
That's right. Look at us.
but if you end every show saying if you can't love yourself,
That's right. That's exactly right.
that's gospel.
Amen.
You're
Amen.
teaching it, and people are remembering it, and then it's sinking in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's changing people's. I mean, I don't think I'm like being hyperbolic. It
You're not.
becomes something that people think about.
So what do you say to the kids that are starting to love themselves and their parents aren't allowing that?
I would
Their
repeat
parents aren't allowing it?
Yeah, there's a lot of kids that I talk to that it's usually because of their sexuality or their gender identity, whatever it is, they're ready to make the change and they're starting to really love themselves and they're realizing, like maybe you did at 15, that this is not conducive for me to be where I am right now.
Right.
How am I going to get my message across? Because I don't have any money. I'm 14 years old. I'm not going to run away. How do I get my message across?
But who are you trying to get it across to? Because
People around you.
the
I
people,
guess.
but you cannot change other people. You can only change yourself.
For that 14-year-old, I say get a job, save your money, move out when you're 18.
Right.
Right.
It's
Do
very
not
hard
talk
to
to
get a
your
job at
parents.
14.
Do
Right.
not teach them.
Right.
I waitressed when I was 14. Get
Where,
out of here.
girl?
BLT, breakfast, lunch, and takeout, bitch.
Because 14 ain't usually an
You know
age.
what? I went through puberty when I was 9. My titties, I was 19 and 14. I was
Lucky
20 years
bitch, I
old.
had to buy mine.
No, I'm gonna have to reduce mine eventually, but tack them up, you know,
Yeah.
to my off my collarbone.
Yeah.
But
No,
but
that's
I would
good
say to
advice.
that 14-year-old, get a part-time job, save your fucking
Walk
money,
dogs, do
walk
whatever,
dogs,
yeah.
do fucking online poker, and
That's
become
true,
a fucking whiz. Don't talk to your fucking parents.
Yeah.
Move out when you're 18.
That's
Yeah.
true because this little time that it seems like a lifetime, but the truth is it's a short amount of time. It'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
over before you know it. The dark clouds always pass over. Also, go and look for your tribe. You know, when I found
That's right.
Monty Python on public television when I was about
Yes.
12 years old, I thought, my tribe exists out there somewhere. I know they're out there. I just have to bide my time here
Yep.
until I can go and find
And be
them.
as fabulous here as I'm, prep to be the fucking star
Sure.
that I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Still figure out my voice while I'm still playing and pretending
Sure.
before I go out into the real world and
But
serve
kids also
it.
use the internet so much, I
Right.
think, so much that if you're going to be, again, I don't know how the kid has these spirited discussions, but I'm sure they come up in some capacity or another. I would say lead by saying this is my opinion instead of trying to teach people. Being a teacher, because nobody wants to be taught, offer your opinion, but know that it's an opinion and it's not your job to necessarily quote unquote educate somebody. You want to, I think you want to think about enlightening other people.
Right. By example, I don't have children, but I have a lot of friends who do. And I know that, kids learn by what you're doing.
Yes.
They and it's not by what you say. It's
Right.
just, it's how you react to
Right.
things. Michelle, what book did you read as a kid that really changed your philosophy, that made you think, oh, I get it? Was it some Jackie Collins or Harold Robbins?
I would like to say that I was that deep, but it was probably Judy Blume.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's okay. Judy Blume's
those were the
great.
Hell
books
yeah.
That made me think as kids, and it was very young
Yes.
because the reading wasn't that prolific for me in South Plainfield, New Jersey, when I was young.
But what was the turning point? Was it a book? Was it a record? What made you think there's a place for me?
I knew I was different all along, but I think the real turning point, I've said that before, I'll say it again, was seeing the Go-Go's, because for me, I was like 12 or 13, and I realized they're all girls. And they're in a band, and they're wearing miniskirts, and she is not a size 0. So there were so many things that empowered me. It wasn't through a book; it was through music, and that's kind of where I went, "Oh my God, this is so
But what about your political
exciting."
stance, though? I mean, you've always been, I hate the word liberal. Actually, I love the word liberal. I hate what they've turned it
Progressive?
into.
Yes.
Yeah. What would be what an
Independent
open
thinker?
heart, an open heart,
Open heart.
open mind.
Love.
Being an adopted kid, and I always knew from the beginning,
Yeah.
I always knew that I was different. My parents always told me that I was different, that they told me I was chosen because I was wanted. They said all the right words, but I never felt like I fit
Yeah.
in because I didn't look like them. I didn't feel like them. So it was always different for me. So I think that I had a sensitivity to people who
Totally.
felt that they didn't fit in. And I was the only, there were 2 Jewish families in my entire town.
Yeah,
2.
yeah.
So
Us too.
it was
The
also,
Rosenblatts and the
it
Shoepacks.
was the Barskis and the Shoepacks. And it was just weird. So there was a kinship with weird people.
Yeah.
And I realized early on that I was weird and people were making fun of me. And it took me to the point of probably to get to high school. I started with the Go-Go's, and towards the end of 8th grade, a boy told me I had a nice ass. And literally I thought that I had won every award on the planet.
No, Michelle, you
That's
didn't
great.
say it right. What did
Well,
he say?
that was later on.
No, but please
That
say
one was
that
later.
one.
That
What
was
was
at a
his name
club.
first?
Was
Was
it?
Anthony
Bonavolante.
Was Anthony Bonavolante?
Hey, Shoeback, your ass is mint.
Anthony
Bonavolante.
Bonavolante.
Tell me more,
Shoeback.
Anthony.
Your
Oh
ass
my
is
God.
mint.
Your
That was when
best
I was
is
19. The other guy, Kenny, literally,
Anthony.
back in the
Anthony.
80s, they used to put their hand on the
Bonavolante.
chair when the girl would sit down and wiggle their
Ew.
fingers.
Get
So
the
gross.
fuck out of here.
I wanted it done to me so bad.
Yeah, you want them inside, not over the fucking
Yeah.
Pretty
clothes.
girls got that. I didn't get that. So when
I hear
Kenny
you.
told me I had a nice ass and did that to me on my chair, I was like,
Fun.
why'd you do that?
Oh, my
Like,
God.
It was a
Anthony
moment.
Bonavolante.
Yes.
Oh,
So-
Shoepack.
That was
Now,
me.
I'm going to ask you guys the same question. Was there a book or an event or something that happened that really was like a breakthrough moment for you? That where you realized, oh, I get it. I'm a part of this earth, and my job on this earth is to experience life and to keep an open heart. Because I guess some people decide I'm going to get Attabeads and become a Republican and decide that it's not cool for women to have the choice to do what they want with their bodies, or that it's not cool for anybody to do what they want with their bodies.
Right.
Right.
Was there an event at, say, 14, 13, that period where
Bar
you
mitzvah.
thought, yeah, where you thought, I
That is
get
so
it.
funny. I don't know. I was thinking while you were talking, Michelle, like one thing is you were saying being adopted, being like one of 2 Jewish families in the town. It's like, the thing that others use such that you have to think, or is it like a thing that like changes your mind in a positive way? I mean, I imagine being gay for you made you more conscious in general outside of toxic masculinity. I don't know. I felt like such a tomboy. I was not like my girlfriends when I was a kid. Everybody had such kind of hair, and we're like, I was like, am I gay? Like, I don't know. I've always just kind of had this point of view, but I think it could just be being like these like humble Jews, they're like
I think
very
you're
few Jews in the
You're
town. I don't
describing
know.
consciousness. You're
Yeah,
describing...
like and our I don't know, our parents are sensitive, and
We also had, our grandparents especially on our mother's side, were so, how do you describe? Empathetic.
but they weren't like talking about civil rights.
No, they
or
weren't.
Something.
They were
just cultured.
cultured.
They really
and
brought
led
us
with
to
kindness and just without it being a lesson. They just were patrons of the arts who wanted us to experience those things: museums, theater, music. Our grandpa was always playing classical music,
and they were also like fluid compared to heteronormative standards. Like our grandpa was like really artistic and like seems kind of gay now, and our grandma, this like strong-headed Jewish woman. I think those roles being reversed on versus what you see on TV. I also personally, I think us growing up and making sketch comedy, to me, I was like, I have a power and I can make something.
But Ilana's talking about as kids, our grandfather on that side, this is obviously pre-YouTube. There's no reason for him to do any of these things outside of his own volition. He made sketch videos alone for himself. Sketch
Of
videos
himself?
of
Yes.
himself,
And he called
doing
it KRAP-TV. And he gave us the station.
I was like, didn't you guys do like...
Yes. And he did a Pavarotti character, put a rag on his head, Pavarotten. He was like a really funny, like,
and again,
fluid
all
dude.
for himself.
And we just felt that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he
He had to get out his creativity.
That,
Yes.
no, that speaks volumes.
Exactly.
That speaks volumes. And that's what I was talking about with kids learn through example. The concept of there not being margins or boundaries.
Right.
That your imagination is your gift, not only to yourself, but to the world. And by
Absolutely.
expressing yourself, I think that is what built this concept that the world, that you are of this world, and it's not sectioned off. You know, when you are taught to color in the lines, there's no room for expansion.
You know,
Right.
I'm thinking about being a kid and watching you, Rue, on VH1, and I'm like, you know, you were marginalized, and then you were having a party in the fucking margins.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, bitch, as a fucking child. And I was like, I mean, it's insane. I'm like getting like, this is like, you know, just, I'm like existentially climaxing right now. But it is just like, it's just like you were brave enough to be fucking dope in that margin. And then it was like, oh, fuck the rest of the page. The margin is where the fucking party's at.
Right. Exactly. So having said that, given the place we're in right now, it's important for our listeners, the kids who listen, and the adults who listen, to keep being your God self, the self that is unlimited, that has unlimited love, because love is the answer. And this concept of there not being enough for everyone is ridiculous. We are growing. We are a global universe. We're global. There's room for everybody. And that is what this discussion is about.
Right.
It's not even about fighting the other side, because the other side will burn out.
Right.
It will burn out. It cannot sustain itself. Now, it could burn out and hurt a lot of people in the process.
Yes.
But our job is to continue to, like Grandpa, create Pavarotti
Right.
I love it.
Yes.
and to dance within the margins and to continue to love yourself, which is a daily practice. Now, that's why I asked about
Daily
a spiritual
practice, that's right.
practice. The spiritual practice is there to remind you of all of these things and to not get your heart broken by what's happening in the world. All of these tragedies, our heart does go out to all the people affected by. We're all affected by it.
Right.
Our job here out is to continue to love. You know, it seems like a passive thing. It's a huge thing.
You have to remember to do it.
You have to remember to do it.
And like you said, Rue, it starts, I just want to reiterate what you said before, being kind to others and being kind to yourself. First of all, you have to be kind to yourself. It is so hard. The world teaches you to hate yourself. Even the whitest, straightest man is taught to hate himself if he just fucks up in the tiniest way.
Yeah.
So loving yourself is totally the first step. And also being kind to others, really being conscious on an individual level, that is, you know, we can't all be, you know, DeRay McKesson of Black Lives Matter. I mean, he's like a trained activist.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one version of it. But what you're talking about, being like inclusive and kind and conscious, even when it's somebody who is hateful or whatever, and realizing how sick they are and that they just hate themselves.
Yeah.
I think on the other end of that, like I didn't go to DragCon, but I saw a lot of it on Instagram and stuff. And you see these little kids there.
Yep.
And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Which means that message literally got to them.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Right.
literally got to them, and their parents brought them to DragCon, and that's where they're
Dope.
fucking blooming.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
fucking blooming right there.
And they're
it's
learning
like,
the vernacular right there.
Exactly.
And they're seeing
love
other
that.
kids who are like that. And it's again, it's like your grandparents passing on this philosophy of the world that they see. It is happening, and it's cyclical. I mean, we are experiencing this kind of horrible lull, that this area of our development,
It's a blight. It'll go away.
it will go away. It will pass, but we have to keep looking forward. We have to keep, making, doing what we do.
Yep.
So that was, I'm glad we have this discussion.
Thank you
Me
so
too.
much
You
for
know,
continuing
wonderful.
this.
Because
Cathartic.
I think
Yeah,
young people
truly.
really do need to hear these things. You know what? It's not about us teaching them. It's about reminding.
Right.
We all know this.
Right.
We all know. We know what we're here doing.
Yeah.
And even the sickest right-wing Republican person with a gun fetish, they, at their core, they know what's right from wrong. And what is right is love.
Right.
Love is the right, natural place to be.
Yep.
So let's just stay in love.
I love that.
All right, kids. Well, until next time, Ilana Glazer and Eliot Glazer. We'll be watching you on Broad City and on the new show that you have.
Fingers crossed.
There's
Fingers crossed.
there's the show with the 6 women. That's called
That's
what?
Teachers. I write for that.
Teachers.
Yeah.
You write for that,
Mhm.
and then the show, fingers crossed, on
Inside
on
Voice, Comedy
Inside
Central.
Voice. I
Mhm.
cannot wait for that.
Oh, me too.
In the meantime, you can catch Broad City on Comedy Central on what nights is it?
On Wednesdays
Wednesday
after
nights.
South Park, 10:30 p.m.
And it's streamable.
And when?
Yeah.
So when is it?
Right.
When are the new episodes on Hulu?
I think they have a delay of 1 to 3 weeks. I am not so sure.
Okay.
And just saying, if anybody has $20, it's on iTunes and you keep it forever.
Oh,
There you
I love that.
go.
I
Yeah,
love
there
that.
you go.
I love that. Well, Michelle Visage, until next time,
Yes,
my
my
dear.
darling.
Bye.
Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Amen.